you can say that this is the most important supplement that you will ever use. Now, of course, that's clearly marketing, but I can assure you from studying this industry for over a quarter of a century, it's true. This is true. This is absolutely true. And during many of our lectures and our webinars and our online information, it's going to be very easy to convince anybody that this is the case. Just looking at our history, I mean, this is something that we own. We own this whole glutathione realm, especially when it comes to using natural proteins. This is Dr. Gustavo Bunos and Dr. Patricia Kongshaven. They discovered a natural protein that raises glutathione naturally and more effectively than any other substance you could be sticking in your mouth outside of a handful of drugs. So this is our science. We're the ones that, and the rest of the team, we're the first ones to have published human studies in this area using proteins to raise glutathione and looking at the role of glutathione in the immune system. It's us, it's our company, it's your scientists that are the ones that brought this to the world. And finally, here's a picture of 3 geniuses and 1 really good-looking guy. Well, how could I dare to put myself on the same page as these other 3 scientists? My major function over the last couple decades is to take this knowledge and bring it to the rest of the world in a manner that it's digestible and understandable. So again, I'm going to boast a little here. I've sold more books on glutathione than all of the other authors on glutathione books in the world. And so what I've done is I've taken the message of these 3 incredible geniuses, and again, it made it available for everybody to read and understand. So we're talking, of course, about Immunotec raising glutathione. What does glutathione do? Very easily remembered by using the acronym IDEA, glutathione. What a great idea. I stands for the immune system. If your glutathione levels are low, your immune system is functioning at suboptimally. If your glutathione levels are high, well, then you can start to achieve optimal immune defense. D stands for detoxification. I tell people that next to water, you probably will find a more important detoxification substance in your body. It detoxifies pesticides and herbicides and automobile exhaust and heavy metals and on and on. There are just too many thousands of things in our environment that we're exposed to that we don't need, and glutathione is critical and responsible for the removal of thousands and thousands of these. E stands for energy. Again, we can have a whole talk just on energy. Just to give you a broad sweep, when we look at part of what one of our guest speakers is going to be presenting today, you're going to see the importance of this in energy and in muscular performance. So I'm not going to steal any thunder from our guest later on. And finally, A stands for antioxidant. We call glutathione, and when I say we, I'm talking about many researchers, not just people at Immunotec. Glutathione is the master antioxidant, and it gained that notoriety for a few reasons, the most important of which is that given our knowledge of between 2,000 and 4,000 different antioxidants, none of them can work without the presence of glutathione. All antioxidant function depends on glutathione to drive this whole process. So there you go, 4 little letters that will tell you 95% of what glutathione does in your body. How does Immunotec work? Again, let's keep it simple. We'll get into the details during some of our talks. Number one, it raises glutathione. And when I first started working with this, with you guys and with John Molson, we go back to like 25 years. Not everybody, in fact, very few people have heard of glutathione, but given that there's over 150,000 medical publications to date, this is becoming part of our lexicon when you speak to anybody in health or nutrition. Now they have heard of glutathione and they're starting to understand it. And two, how does Immunocal work? Not only does it raise glutathione, but it's also the most important protein that you could put in your mouth. And I say this again based on protein measurements such as something called a BV or biological value. We can assess a number to any protein that we put into our bodies. And when we look at BV, for example, Immunocal is head and shoulders above eggs, milk, beef, chicken, soy, you name it. That should be enough reason for you to take it. What does Immunocal do? 30 chapters of different pathologies that it's involved in, but more simply, because it's a natural product and we can't make medical claims, just remember these three areas. It's going to make you healthier, it's going to make you stronger, and right now our whole focus is on Immunocal and the brain, and that's why we have that smarter logo over there. We've been around for over 40 years. We have upwards of, I don't know, between 80 and I guess 100 international patents on the Immunocal. By the end of this year, it says 60 plus articles. I'm hoping that by 2021, we will have over 70 published articles in the medical literature on Immunocal. You're not going to find a company that has 5. And finally, these are books. Here's the Physician's Desk reference, a PDR. This is the American version of something we have in Canada called a CPS, that blue book that you Canadians have seen on your doctor's desk. Well, these books sit on the desk of every single doctor and every single pharmacist in North America. And these books contain all the drugs that a doctor can prescribe. When you turn to the substances that start with the letter I, you're going to find something in there that's not a drug, something called Immunocal, listed with clinical indications, contraindications, clinical pharmacology, and all the other things entrenched into medical language that will make your physician or health professional quite comfortable that this is something that is legitimate and can be recommended to a patient.